As most of you guys know, there was a school shooting in Georgia at the Appalachia High School, and a 14-year-old kid went into school with an AR-15 and killed 4 people and injured several other people. Not just physically, but he also injured them emotionally and mentally, because this kind of trauma is not something that any of them will get over anytime soon. Like, this is lifelong trauma. Colt Gray killed 2 students and 2 teachers, and in a shocking turn of events, his father, who was 54 years old, Colin Gray, he was arrested for a slew of charges. More charges than his son, actually, which is even more surprising. The 14-year-old child is being charged with 4 counts of felony murder, but his father is being charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter, 2 counts of second-degree murder, 8 counts of cruelty to children. And, you know, this is one of those situations where arresting the parents for something that the child did, I feel like that is a slippery slope. However, if the FBI knocks on your door a year and a half prior and says, hey, this is a warning, if your son shoots up a fucking school, then we're going to hold you responsible for this. An FBI warning you at your front door, that is a gift from above, okay? Because when the FBI comes to your house, you're going to fucking prison that day, usually. So the FBI just coming to the house and giving you a warning, and you didn't take it seriously, and now 4 people are dead, and your child is going to spend the rest of his life in prison. Bruh. When I first saw that pop up, I genuinely thought, okay, he's going to be charged with negligence because obviously the son had access to the guns. They weren't locked up. That's obviously a negligent situation. Here's kind of the dilemma that I have with it. It's not illegal to give a minor an AR-15. First of all, that's shocking. And there's a lot of laws surrounding firearms, obviously, but as long as it's being purchased by somebody that is not a felon, that has no history of mental illness, things like that, he bought the guns legally. Hey, just popping in here to say that after doing a little bit more research, Georgia gun laws are kind of different. The state does not have a universal background check for gun purchases, safe storage laws, or even a red flag law, which is crazy. And a parent can get their minor child a gun, but it's only supposed to be a handgun. Here's where it's tricky from a legal standpoint is that the father was the owner of the gun technically, and his son just had it. The father said it was a gift. I think if I was his lawyer, I'd be really mad about that statement made, and I would try to get that suppressed if I was the father's lawyer. I'm just saying. But gun laws in Georgia say that a minor can have a gun purchased by a parent as long as it is a handgun. I think that that's really crazy. Okay, moving on. I'm very well aware that an AR-15 is not used for hunting, but you could kill a deer with whatever you want to kill a deer with. No one's going to use an AR-15 for that, but there's no law that says that a man can't buy a gun for his 14-year-old in Georgia. What completely blows my mind is that when the father bought this AR-15 for his son, it was months after the feds warned him, hey, your son's saying some crazy shit in a Discord, so maybe let's remove guns if he's trying to shoot up a school. But, the kid denied the claims that he ever said that. And even though the father had a ton of red flags, like him not getting along with other students in class, him being bullied, him being kind of an outcast, and then the FBI shows up at the door and says, hey, bro, kid's doing some weird shit. After all of that, the father is still going to hand him an AR-15 months after the feds show up. Like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? There's even a darker history here. It's a family that has had a ton of issues. I guess this kid, the shooter, he comes from a broken home, a home that was struggling. His mom was arrested for drug possession. He's got 2 other siblings, but he lives with his father, and the other siblings live with the mother. There's a lot of issues there, a lot of background issues there. I'm not trying to make any excuses for him, obviously, but at the end of the day, parents should be held accountable to some extent for their children's behavior. Do I think that he should be charged with murder? I don't know. I really don't know if that is legal. It's absolutely negligent. It's absolutely not okay. His father had a year and a half to get his son, his very troubled son, help, and he didn't do that. Instead of getting him therapy that he desperately needed, he gave him a fucking AR-15. It makes no sense to me at all. When the feds came to their house, the father was like, yeah, I'm trying to get my son into the outdoors. I'm trying to get him off video games. Cool. Get him a bow and arrow. Teach him archery. Teach him how to kill a deer with a fucking bow and arrow because he's saying crazy shit in a Discord. Like, there's a million other things that he could have done with this kid instead of just giving him a gun at Christmas. I was on TikTok this morning and I saw this girl's video. It has like 14 million views. And she talks about going to the bathroom and hearing a banging, and she didn't know what the banging was. She thought her friend was trying to mess with her. So she goes out of the bathroom and she steps out into the hallway, and the shooter, I don't want to keep saying his name because I feel like people that do this want that recognition and attention. So the kid with the gun, he has the gun pointed at her and he starts running towards her, and the cops are also running towards her, and one of the cops pushed her into the bathroom stall. And she talks about texting her mom and telling her, I love you, there's an active shooter, I hear shots, all that stuff. As a mother with 2 children in public school, oh my fucking God. No child should ever have to text their parents scared to death from a fucking bathroom stall because there is an active shooter in the building. I would like to read to you something that I looked at when I was researching this, because I had no idea that it is this many. So far this year, the United States has suffered at least 385 mass shootings, according to Gun Violence Archives, which defines a mass shooting as those in which 4 or more victims are shot. That's an average of more than 1.5 mass shootings a day. And for some reason, we are talking about gun control and gun laws instead of mental health. Instead of allowing the United States to have free access to healthcare and mental health treatment. We're talking about gun control. And I know there's no easy solution to this. If the United States decided that all public schools were going to sit out and protest and not participate in school and not show up for just a few days, then they would lose funding. That's why public schools want kids at their fucking seat every single day. It's why they reward you for a perfect attendance record, because they get funding for that. There's a lot of different things that we can do to implement safety in public schools. And the fact that it's not really a priority in this country makes me fucking sick to my stomach. No teacher, no student should ever have to go to school thinking that they're not going to go home that day. At this point, there should just be armed fucking security. Armed security at schools, clear backpacks, metal detectors, all kinds of shit. And I do think that the cops in this situation did a really good job. They were on scene in 6 minutes. I understand that this is a complicated issue, but I'm a parent. And I'm tired. At Appalachia High, when you leave a classroom, the door automatically locks when the door is closed. I think that's also a really good thing. The teachers had little safety thingies that they hit in case of an emergency. That's also really good. I don't think that this school in particular, or, the law enforcement in Appalachia, Georgia, I don't think that they did a bad job. I think that they did the best that they could. And I do want to applaud that. I'm just frustrated because it should never happen. To be on scene within 6 minutes, they did a really good job. They did. I think that we are learning. We have learned from what happened in Texas where cops sat outside, for fuck's sake. I think a nationwide walkout and a nationwide protest for public schools would make a huge difference because they would lose funding and they would be forced to implement every safety precaution under the sun. If the United States is going to force parents to put their children in public school, then we need a fucking guarantee that they're going to come home at the end of the day. I'm going to link all of the GoFundMes to the 4 funerals. My heart goes out to all of the victims' families and friends and everyone in that school. This should not have happened. And I know I'm just a random person on the internet, but I'm so sorry to all of you. That should have never happened. That's all I got today.